Welcome back. This is KurossuElemenze with another installation of my Dragon Quest IX solo speedrun. As you can tell, I've just gotten back to Angel Falls, and I'm going to blitz the storyline so that we can continue on and hopefully meet the goal of this challenge. Now that Patty is free, she finishes her trek to Angel Falls, and lo and behold, as soon as you walk into the inn, you get to eavesdrop on her talking with Aaron about her father and everything that happened before that. But, of course, Patty seems a bit shifty in my eyes. She could almost make a great con artist with the approaches she has. She has that kind of face, I guess. You'd have to admit that Aaron's shocked face is rather amusing. Right now you get to hear a bit more of the backstory behind Aaron's father. You do find out that she worked with him in Stornway, which is the next and one of the major cities of the game. Of course, Erin, even though she remembers Stornway, she has become rather attached to Angel Falls, and as you can tell, it looks like Patty doesn't plan on taking no for an answer. The reason certain scenes like that dialogue go on, it seems, is so that you can always be at the proper time of day, so that you can encounter storyline ghosts in this case. As you can tell, it's the same ghost from the dungeon, and now you get to understand why I call the pink ball of light Navi. But, meet Stella. She thinks rather highly of herself, and she's been apparently stalking us from afar, trying to figure out why we can apparently see the Starflight's engine. Right now she's basically saying, I don't believe who you say you are, and now I'm going to go ahead and have you do some work so that we can say that, well, you might be it. I'll trust you. Honestly, she's not as nagging as Navi. Just her sense of humor and fact that she's actually part of the main storyline. She's actually one of the main objectives of the final part of this. And look, I finally remembered to use that seed of deafness that I got. After talking with the ghost of Aaron's father, we of course now find out that he might have put something in the bushes behind the inn, and lo and behold, it's the innie. Again, play on words, but still fun. Other than that, the story in this episode is rather short. It's a lot of back history, and I'll continue on with that. With this, that trophy is rather huge, I have to admit, and it is, I guess, imbued with the same magic as the weapons and items from the Legend of Zelda cartoon, if you ever watched it. But now we get to hear more about Erin. Erin and her mother were both sickly, as her grandfather just said, and when her father, Edwin, lost her mother, which I don't believe you ever even learn her name. He immediately gave up everything in attempts of trying to find a way to keep Aaron alive. Well, that means he sacrificed all of his prestige in Stornway and just moved out and took care of Aaron here in Angel Falls, where there's rumored to be water that cures all ails. I don't want to quite say it's tonic water or snake oil salesman, but it seems to have done its job in making Aaron healthy. Even she doesn't remember when she was sick anymore. So, oh well. Other than that, the game decides that you're going to spend a few days. It's one of the only references that I've seen in the entire game where they're like, this much time must pass. I mean, other than obvious what I was saying, where they have cutscenes that draw out time so that you can meet Edwin's father, who is now thankfully resting on his way. But as you could tell by the cutscene, the animation at least, even though my character can do most of what a Celestrian can and still has the senses of a Celestrian, benevolence is invisible to me, which again makes Stella go, okay, you're a Celestrian, no, you're not a Celestrian. And this goes on back and forth for quite a bit, at least until we get to the next major part of the game. We're still somewhat in the introduction, even though we're out of the tutorial in the first boss and dungeon run. We still have plenty that we can do. The major things left in this first part is, once we get the zoom spell, that is when I believe that the main arc of the game begins. That is probably about another hour, maybe hour and a half out, depending on how long it takes me to prepare for the next dungeon, the next boss fight, I should say. And you actually find yourself having to return to this car quite often, and it isn't bad, I guess, but at the same time it does add time to your playthrough, because you have to walk from a town. I haven't measured it on my game file, but I am imagining that it is shorter to walk from Angel Falls than it is to walk from the next city. So here we go again. This is Stella's you are, you're not, you are, you're not. It's like she's picking petals off of a daisy, honestly. Other than that, as Takari has pointed out, she does have a penchant for saying flapping instead of any other substituted F word. But now that we find out that, well, maybe you just need more benevolence and then it'll work, because even though you can't see it, we'll use it and it'll get you back where you want to go, because I can't pilot this by myself. And it does raise the suspicion that she doesn't pilot the Starflight Express alone, because, well, frankly, she just smashes her hands on the controls and she isn't able to power it by herself. She says it requires a Celestrian. So we'll see what comes of that. I'm going to detour from the next city and run straight here first, because this is the other side of the hexagon where Patty had entered, and you'll find out that this rebel is actually in the room past where the hexagon was, and she ran through here when she was being chased. I'm going to go ahead and equip the armor that I just got, because it is a significant defense increase from my old Celestian clothing, and now I run straight to town. Luckily in this playthrough I didn't get jumped on the way. These monsters aren't a challenge, but it would have just added time unnecessarily to my run. Excuse me. And welcome to the great city of Stormwind. This is probably going to be the city that you'll see the most through all of the playthroughs and Let's Plays of this game, only because it's the main social hub. And as you come into town, you find out that Patty and Aaron have just arrived, and as per scripted dialogue, you can't escape it. You get pulled into the inn by Stella, who is insisting on checking up on her. And I do like this music. I will join most Let's Players. I find the beat here to be rather interesting. You will meet the various people of this inn just through an actual playthrough. They each have their own special functions, and as you can see, they're not quite trusting that Erin is who she is, and they have to give her a reason to pull out her trophy from her dress, and it instantly changes the atmosphere in the room. And being from the small town of Angel Falls, I can honestly understand why Erin is not quite accustomed to getting that kind of attention. She's still adjusting to the fact that her father was a incredible entertainer, in fact. So I doubt she was ready for that attention herself. And in order to progress the storyline, you have to talk to Erin before you leave, otherwise Stella will just stop you in the doorway. Basically, what she's saying is, I'm not set up here yet, but I will be. You should definitely come in and visit once we're set up. And Patty convinces her to ask me for help to find more visitors. And what falls on that is actually what I believe is the tagging system for the sleeping DSs. You can fill up the inn with up to 50 people that you tag, but since this is an emulator, the wireless and tagging system doesn't work, so I'm living with what I can do. I'm not going to use the inn as much as I can. I'm going to try to not go to that inn until after I've recovered Stella, and that's going to mean that I'm going to be staying at inns in other cities that don't give me as great a discount, but we'll see how that pans out. And now we get to progress to the next story plot point, and I actually remember to use this seed before getting into battle again. As the sign outside said, the king is being harassed by a white knight, but he is not willing to sacrifice his soldiers anymore. If you explore the castle at this point, you find that all the soldiers in the area are injured, and that was just with one encounter. And now that he is retreated, the knight has demanded that Princess Simona be delivered for a rendezvous at the lock to the north of the castle. The king, being a suspicious miser and protective parent, will have nothing of it, but I believe he is more concerned about his castle and his crown than he is his daughter at this point, since he says that he's more concerned that the knight is trying to assault his family or his home instead of sincerely being interested in his daughter. And now we get to the main point of this arc: gather benevolence. Stella has come up with a clever scheme of, everyone will be grateful if you do this for us. Isn't it wonderful? Let's go get some benevolence and it'll fix the train. But I stop in and I pick up a couple more Chimera wings. Earlier I bought a rapier to increase my damage output. The Chimera wings I buy for quick transit back to towns, in between towns, until I get the zoom spell. It's 25 gold per, so it's kind of rough, but I'll live. And now I'm actually going to save my progress. And I'm doing this and actually showing it on screen just to show my game timer, so there's no questions about how long I'm actually playing, as well as giving proof that there's no off-screening happening. Granted, that would show up in the final video when Stella gives me my time. And here we go. Until next time, enjoy yourself.